It is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, 7 p.m. I will call the city council meeting to order. Clerk Tom, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Huckabee,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Lesko,
Here.
Councilmember Schultz,
Here.
President Janko.
Here. Well accounted for. Thank you. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I invite everybody to stand. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, consent agenda. The consent agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed items 4A.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's take a minute here. No problem. Just having technical difficulties on our end for those on Zoom, so just hang on a minute, please.
You might, Courtney, you can exit out and then enter back and make sure there's no audio.
Does that work now? Yep, okay. Sorry about that. Item 5, public hearings. Tonight we have none. Item 6, public comment for matters on the agenda. The city council received comments from city residents. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon: name, address, and contact information. Note for those on Zoom, if anyone wishes to speak, please raise your virtual hand as the chat box is not monitored, and you must remain muted while on the call unless recognized to speak. We don't have anybody in person that signed up to speak tonight, so this will be a first call for anyone on Zoom. Second call for anyone on Zoom wishing to speak. I will give one third and final call. Seeing none, we will close out public comment. Item 7, petitions, requests, and communications. 7A is the Police Department 2025 Annual Report. Police Chief Bump.
Hello, everyone. I sent out the annual report a few weeks ago, completed that at the end of February. And when I did that, the city manager thought it would be nice for me to come and present it to city council. I do the annual report every year, post it to our website. So it's there for people to when they're doing research or they want to see statistics on what the agency does throughout each year. I archive those back for the last 5 years is what I try to do. So you have the current year and then the 5 previous years. This year's annual report, some of the highlights, if we go to slide 5, if we can start there. Operational highlights here. So some of the things to kind of think about is, our calls for service every year, the number of calls that our officers handle from day to day, that number. We've had an upward trend for the last 3 years. And then this year we were 950 less than last year. So just a slight downturn. I kind of contribute, well, that's always an inconsistent. It's always going to be different. And hopefully we're plateauing out where we're not going to every year just continue to grow. But I kind of contribute this year's a few less calls for service to us just being down a few officers throughout the year. From the set for pretty much the whole second half of the year, we were down 2 to 4 officers at various times for just being down two. We had 2 in the academy, 1 officer that resigned and is going back to college, 1 that was deployed to the military. And even though we still fill those hours on the road when you have an officer come in on overtime, and they've already worked their 8-hour shift and now they're holding over for another 4, they're going to be a little more tired. So they're not going to be generating maybe as much proactive work, but they're still going to be taking care of the things that needed to be taken care of. So I think that can be an area where being 4 officers down at certain times does take a toll on your workforce, and you might see a little bit of reduction there. There might be a lot of other reasons, though, of course, but that's one that sticks out to me as the chief when I look at the numbers. One of the other things we spend a decent amount of time on, or have, and hopefully won't in the future, is nuisance abatement in the community, trying to clean up neighborhoods and properties so they aren't a blight on the neighborhood or a blight on the community, and so we can help keep things safe and clean. Most of ours are complaint generated and a little bit proactive. But last year we did 436 calls or properties that we tried to address. And that's pretty consistent over the last 5 years on what we've been doing in the community to just try to keep as good of a hand on it as we can, even though a lot of those things don't always necessarily fall in an officer's area of responsibility, but it's something that we are out and about and we can address, and we try to address the best we can. And then, hopefully here in 2026, we'll see those numbers drop off quite a bit as we then start leaning on municipal code enforcement to do a lot of that work and hopefully do a better job of it than us. We were just kind of doing the ones that we could do to keep moving forward. One of the big things that we do in our lobby is we accept prescription medications, and we help recycle prescription medications. We get prescription meds off the street, hopefully, and then we also make sure that they're recycled properly so they end up in our landfills, in our water sources. So it kind of plays a good dual purpose there. We recycled 506 pounds of prescription medication. That's just in our lobby alone. So it's a good weight of prescription meds that we're taking in each year and then helping recycle. Wisconsin is the leading recycler of prescription meds in the entire nation. So we put a lot of effort into that. The next one is the 2,445 hours. The one thing that we've been doing over the last 3 years is investing a lot in our employees. We have a very young new police force in all levels of the department. And when you start losing that institutional knowledge and those highly trained officers when they get to the end of their career and then you start new, it takes a lot of time and effort to mentor, coach, and develop those new employees so the public never notices that there's a change. And we put a lot of work and effort into that. And I think those hours prove that we are doing everything we can to make sure that we have the best police officers, the best dispatchers, and other civilian employees than any other police department around us. One other thing that we take pride in is our community policing efforts. We had 593 events that we log under our community policing initiatives, and 593 different things that we do a year in a year of 365 days. I think that shows that we're putting a lot of effort into that without taking away from anything else that we do. Some of them are chance little things that pop up, and other things are pre-planned, like DARE. We do things with bullying, education, fraud prevention with our senior citizens, reading books at the library or at the museum, and all those other things that come with it. So those are kind of the numbers that operationally that are outside the norm that I'm proud of that we've accomplished in this year. You can go on to the next. Here's some examples of us doing different things in the community, and I kind of like this. Sometimes police work has nothing to do with police work. Sometimes the things that we do every day that have nothing to do with the actual job is what really provides the most value to our community and to the people we serve. I'm going to the next. So calls for service. Here's a good breakdown of, you can see the hours of the day over a 24-hour period. And this is all calls for the entire year. So the 18,000 some calls that we had, this is the breakdown of when those occur. And then you can see on the bottom darker line, the first, second, and third shift. So you can see those gaps of when that's occurring. In years past, you didn't see quite as much trends. It was kind of more even. One thing we've made a lot of effort in doing is making sure that our officers stay busy when there's nothing to do, or they find something to do when there's nothing to do. And this is a great example. If you look at third shift, which seems to be the highest and the busiest, we've made a lot of effort to make sure that we're paying attention to things when hopefully the rest of the world is asleep. Checking doors, patrolling our parks, and making sure we're in and out of our neighborhoods and not just driving the main street looking for the next traffic stop. And this shows that attitude and culture has really taken place over the last couple of years, because you see our third shifters are very busy and very active in the middle of the night. If there's a car moving through town or in an area that's not supposed to be, people in our parks at 3 a.m, our officers are going to most likely stumble across it because they're busy and they're out looking for stuff to do instead of parking and not being as active. Any questions about that chart based off of calls for service, or anything that you have any questions on? You can go on to the next one. Month and day of week comparison. Sometimes it's nice to understand, like, what days of the week are we most busy, or what months are the busiest. Lately, because everybody's kind of like, I got a good team of people that are just constantly working. You don't see as much as we used to 10 years ago when I did these charts. We've always find that Sunday is the least busy. That's pretty traditional for a lot of police departments, where Sunday is not the busiest day of the week. But as soon as we get into the weekdays and Saturday, the world's a little more hopping and people are out and about, people are going to work, and then we inherently become busier. And then for months, we've always kind of seen that our summer months were the busiest and our winter months were a little quieter. This chart is a little deceiving because in the last 2 years, we've transitioned how we document our parking enforcement, winter parking, snow emergencies. So they get a call for service instead of just noted on the side outside of our RMS. So now it looks like in January, February, December, we're super busy. But in reality, we're just recording additional stuff that we hadn't recorded before in our RMS system, if that makes sense. Any questions about that? Enforcement activity. This is our traffic and other ordinance violation enforcement actions. The takeaway from here is our officers are busy, but we're not in a community where they're writing tons and tons of tickets and where we are ticket focused or ticket heavy. We're doing the things we need to do to get through the day. We're addressing the important things that need to get addressed, but we are not a speed trap by any means in this community, and I think that's a positive thing. But we're still bringing in the revenue that needs to come in for everything to function, and we're doing the appropriate level of enforcement in all areas.
Remind me again what the OAR, OAS are.
Driving after revocation, after suspension, so people without valid licenses.
Okay.
Obviously, you can see that's a pretty significant thing. It is very common for people without driver's license to still drive, and we run into that very commonly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You can go to the next. This is our crime data. This year, I embedded the document on the left, so you can actually go to the document and see all of our crime data. And then on the right is just a breakout of investigative offenses. Another great news here. This is not a crime-ridden community. This is a safe community. We have things that happen. Our officers run into a good variety of criminal offenses. We do have crime that happens here, but it's not excessive and out of control. And our officers are doing a great job of, when these things occur, we're addressing them, we're investigating them, and we're doing what we have to do to progress through those calls. But luckily, we don't have tons of them. Any questions about that? I think, I can't, is that my last slide? No, there we go. Reports written, calls for service. This is where I talked at the beginning where you can see that 5-year comparison of our calls for service. They have traditionally been going up the last 3 to 4 years. And part of it is because we're busier. And another part of it is because we're doing better at documenting and preserving the information we need to when officers are working and when they're performing calls for service. So we're doing more, but we're also documenting more as well. And I think that is it. Do you have any questions that I can answer about our annual report?
Just a thank you. This is why I sleep well at night.
Absolutely.
On the nuisance abatement and code enforcement
Yeah.
contacts that you have with the property owners, are you finding that generally, as a lot, they are receptive to getting in alignment?
I think you have a variety. You have the people that are like, yeah, you're right. Then they just needed a little nudge. You have the other people that maybe are blind to it and begrudgingly take care of things. And then we have a small population of homes that we continuously deal with all the time. And no matter what we do, we cannot motivate them to do the things that they need to do. So, there's a good range, I guess. But for the most part, I mean, I think people want to have nice properties or they know, but it's like, I haven't gotten to that yet. And then when we finally get around to being the ones to remind them, they understand like, okay, it's going on too long. I need to address it. So it's been, it's a mixture. It's positive sometimes and it's not positive at other times. So, and now there's other people out there who maybe we just don't understand their decor style too, so there's that.
Well, I will just mention that I went to base to pick up my kids the other day, and Officer Lawrence and K-9 Smitty were there, as well as Officer Leflin, and they were just in the parking lot playing with the kids. And so it was really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of focus and it's part of our culture to like, if you can take the time to step out and, just, be approachable and take advantage of those opportunities, we want you to do that. And they know that they are supported in doing that whenever it happens. So, yeah, I'm happy to hear about that stuff.
That's the best way to build a proactive police force. People feel more comfortable to call you guys for service when they know that you were just down the street playing basketball with the kids at the park or something.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 98 to 99% of the community really appreciates what we do. And you have the 1% where, they're part of the reason why we exist. So you're never going to make them always happy. So any other questions? All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much, Chief. All right, moving on to 7B is Horde Historical Museum 2025 year-end review. Marilee, Museum Director.
I don't have nearly as many fun graphics, sorry, as Chief Bump did, but I did want to share just a quick snapshot of the museum from last year. So we had another solid year in 2025, supporting and encouraging our community while also educating ourselves regarding our community's history. So the museum's mission is pretty straightforward. It's up on the screen. It's to preserve, protect, and promote the history and culture of Fort Atkinson and the surrounding areas. But this also includes acting as a community space and a repository for our community's story. So these images are actually all part of our collection and represent different eras. So the bottom two are, of course, are of Main Street. The bottom one on the left is South Main. The bottom one on the right is North Main. And that's an early fire department truck on the top. To help fulfill our mission, the City of Fort Atkinson and the Fort Atkinson Historical Society partnered together to run the museum. The museum has 7 employees. Oh, we're too far ahead. There, that's okay. Has 7 employees, 2 full-time that are both City of Fort Atkinson employees, and then 5 part-time that are Fort Atkinson Historical Society employees. The museum also is grateful. We're very grateful for the help of about 150 extra volunteers to help with the museum's programming and day-to-day activities. So in 2025, our volunteers donated 4,103 hours of their time to the museum, which is equivalent to roughly 2 full-time positions. And no one's budget has the budget for 2 more full-time positions. So we're very grateful for our volunteers. Okay. So in 2025, the museum was visited by 14,702 people, sorry, which is a decrease actually of about 300 people from the prior year. So this has made increasing our attendance, while it's always a goal of mine, it has become a larger goal because I don't like it when our attendance goes down, even if it's by a small percentage. I want it to always go up. It's always an ongoing mission to improve our attendance, which we do through programming, outreach, and marketing. So our visitors include school field trips, adult groups, individuals, families, and any number of variations of the above. The vast majority of our visitors are from Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, and the bordering counties. However, our visitors also come from out of town, county, state, and country. We were visited by visitors from 182 other Wisconsin towns in 2025. The bulk of these visits were from Wisconsin towns within roughly a 2 to 3 hour drive from Fort Atkinson. Also in 2025, we were visited by at least one person from every state except Wyoming. So if you know someone from Wyoming, please invite them to come. We would really like to say all 50 states. So someone from Alaska can make it, but Wyoming is too far away, apparently. Our international attendance was notably decreased in 2025. We generally have visitors from roughly 15 to 20 other countries, but only had 9 countries represented in last year. I'm guessing we're the only city department that tracks domestic and international tourism trends. But our visitation in 2025 was spot on with tourism trends. International tourism is down from previous years due to airplane safety fears, expense, and concerns regarding entering and exiting countries. Ground-based tourism, such as day trips or road trips, is still strong. This tourism can be affected when gas prices skyrocket, but since gas prices have remained fairly stable, people are driving, which on vacation. So as I mentioned, the bulk of our visitation comes from within a few hours driving distance. So that includes Illinois, Iowa, and Minnesota. So visitors come to the museum for the following reasons. They're interested in a topic we have an exhibit on. They're in town for something else and found us. My favorite, they're being dragged to the museum by their parents while on family vacation, or they're from out of town and have family visiting us, and they want to impress their visitors by bringing them to the museum. Of our repeat visitors, ones who've come more than once, the bulk of them are families with young children under the age of 15. And I cannot express how unusual this is for a museum that's not technically a children's museum. That is our repeat visitation is young families. It, along with our other visitation metrics, demonstrates our place within the community as a destination for so many different people. Okay, I'm ready. Now's for the fun part when I did math. So please no one check my math because I know it's right. I'm good. It's so fun statistics because he doesn't like statistics. The museum is open 5 days a week for the bulk of the year. We do close for part of January for some maintenance projects. It varies from year to year how long we close, depending on our maintenance project. If we do math, 5 days a week for 52 weeks minus last year's holidays and those maintenance closure dates, we are open for 238 days in a year. So if we divide our attendance by that number of dates, we had on average just over 60 people visit us each day. So then calculating our open hours, we were open for 1,666 hours, which means we had on average 8 people coming in the front door every hour. That 1,666 does not include our Saturday events, our evening events, any of those extra kind of outside our Tuesday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4:30 time. So we hosted programming on 138 of those days last year. Some programs are a single day, some are, such as our art shows, however, are many days in length. We also frequently have more than one program on a day. So for example, this Friday, we have our Mary Horde art show going on. We'll be hosting our March Morning at the Museum preschool program, and we'll be hosting Rockwell 4th grade for their Larry Niedecker local history unit. So that's 3 distinct programs all in one morning. And hopefully we don't lose people for, we'll figure out by height who's with the preschool and who's with the 4th grade. So if we use this math, that means that we only have 8 days a month in theory where we don't have any other programming going on and are just a regular museum open to the public. It also explains why I'm on a first name basis with most of the baristas in town because our programming is heavily fueled by local caffeine. So some of our programming highlights include our triennial quilt show, a members only program, which included tours of the Fort Atkinson Fire Station and Police Department. My favorite story from that was Chief Bump was kind enough to let our members look in his office, and he has apparently some wonderful artifacts in his office, and they were amazed that he wasn't concerned that they were going to steal them. And it reminded them he's the chief of police and you're in his office in the police department. We shouldn't steal. Brenda. That's a really bad idea. We also had our annual Civil War Day and our premiere as part of the Welcome Poets PBS program on two local poets, Lorraine Niedecker and Nick Gulick. It just made its broadcast premiere on PBS Wisconsin this last weekend, which is great. And it's also a wonderful promotion, not just for Lorraine, but also for Fort Atkinson as a great place to live and experience. So besides our programming, which is visible to the public, we also are an actively collecting institution, meaning that the Historical Society as the museum accepts donations of objects for its collections. We have a collections policy that helps dictate what we accept and how much we accept, and we're very appreciative of the guardrails that it provides. So as I explained to fourth graders, the museum has lots of closets that we use to store objects in for as long as possible. Of course, they're significantly larger than most of the closets we have in our hometown. But just like us, we also have to keep our storage closets in order. So the image on the top left is an image from our archives. Each of the gray boxes there contain folders with a paper object or a photo in them. So all of those storage materials are acid-free archival quality to ensure that we keep our collection safe for as long as possible. This past year, our collections manager, Maddie, finished an important project. The museum has been collecting objects since the 1930s, and each of those objects has a story. Who donated it? What did they donate? When did they donate it? Who owned it originally? Things like that. So depending on the era of our museum's records, that information was either typed up in a binder, typed onto a 3x5 card, or inputted into a computer database that uses a museum collections program called Past Perfect. So Maddie has been typing the 3x5 cards into our Past Perfect database for a year. So currently our Past Perfect database has 10,954 items in it. Maddie added 4,145 of those last year. So this is not the complete amount of items that the museum has, but this is with Maddie's help, we've doubled the amount that's in Past Perfect, which makes it easier for us to search and to find and to track that information. So just to show how that's easier, the top card on the top is one of the 3x5 cards for a blue and white coverlet that belonged to the Burlingame and Burchard family and was donated in 1957. Below is the same items record in Past Perfect. And we'll continue to input our records, excuse me, into the computer database, which allows all of us better access to the information. So in looking ahead to 2026, we are looking to celebrate both the 190th anniversary of Fort Atkinson and the 250th anniversary of our country. We'll continue to foster and grow our partnerships within the community, and we're hoping that someone from Wyoming visits. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Even though the attendance was down, it looks like it was a very fulfilling year.
Everyone that came really enjoyed themselves,
Mhm.
right?
So we know your marketing budget's going to Wyoming.
Yeah,
right?
basically, apparently.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Can't beat the price of admission.
Yeah.
Right, right. I think that's the other part that our town is exceedingly proud of when people visit is we have this wonderful museum that's open so much, that does such a great job. Now I feel like I'm bragging, sorry. I'm just stewarding something that was started before me, but of sharing our community's history, and it's free to visit. And that is extremely rare, again, for any community of any size to have a community asset like that, that is free.
And no matter how many times I've been through there, I learned something new every time I
Oh,
come
good.
in. And the temporary exhibits that you have are like a great reason to get back in there. And while you're there, then go walk through the whole thing. The Accomando exhibit was really interesting.
We thoroughly enjoyed that one. That was the exhibit we did on the family from Sicily that immigrated in the 1950s. I think every Accomando family member in a tri-state area visited, as you would. If there was an exhibit on my family, I would go visit it. And we are very glad to be able to share that story because it echoes so many of our other immigration stories for all of our families. And it's just amazing what all they kept. My family was not so good at keeping things. So I'm just impressed by them. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 7C, review and possible action relating to the proclamation declaring May 30th, 2026 as Intersectional Peony Day in the city of Fort Atkinson. Museum Director Mary Lee again.
Sometimes I have my ducks in a row, and today's one of those days. So yes, so this will be the almost the 15th year that we've requested to be recognized by the state of Wisconsin as well as the city of being the intersectional P&E city of Wisconsin, due to the pioneering work of P&E hybridizers Roger and the late Sandra Anderson. Roger actually just finished publishing his biography, which of course is full of beautiful pictures of flowers, and they are for sale in the museum's gift shop. But we are very honored to be able to share his story and his work with the intersectional peonies and to be able to recognize this as part of not just his legacy, but also our town's story.
So staff does recommend that the city council adopt the proclamation declaring May 30th, 2026 as Intersectional Peony Day in the city of Fort Atkinson and support the Hoard Historical Museum's efforts to be Wisconsin's intersectional peony city in 2026.
I move to approve the proclamation declaring May 30th, 2026 as Intersectional Peony Day in the city of Fort Atkinson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further debate? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
And we have a proclamation to be presented to you.
Fabulous.
Moving on to item 8, resolutions and ordinances. Tonight, 8A is second and possible third final reading of an ordinance to repeal and recreate Article 3 of Chapter 86 of the City of Fort Atkinson General Code of General Ordinances relating to recycling. Director Naven.
Good evening. The Wisconsin DNR is requesting the city repeal and recreate the city's recycling ordinance. This update is necessary to align city code with new Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources administrative rules that went into effect on July 1st of 2025. The city's existing recycling ordinance was originally adopted in 1994 to comply with the state's solid waste recovery laws. However, in May of 2024, the governor approved new administrative rules to update effective recycling program criteria. To be recognized by the DNR as having an effective recycling program under state statute, the city is mandated to adopt these updated rules. Maintaining this status is not optional if the city wishes to remain eligible for state recycling grants. The proposed recreation of Article 3 includes several technical administrative updates required by the DNR that include updated definitions, updates to acceptable materials, enhanced education, multifamily and non-residential standards, collection standards, enforcement, and penalties. Adopting this ordinance ensures the city continues to receive state recycling grant funding, which helps offset the cost of the city's local recycling program. Failure to update this ordinance would jeopardize these funds and potentially put the city out of compliance with the state law. The ordinance committee reviewed this matter at the meeting on February 3rd, 2026 and recommended that staff prepare it for city council review and approval. The city council reviewed the ordinance at the meeting on February 17th and directed the city manager to prepare it for a second and possible third and final reading on March 3rd. Staff recommends the city council perform a second reading and suspend the rules to perform a third reading and adopt the ordinance to repeal and recreate Chapter 86, Article 3 of the City of Fort Atkinson Municipal Code.
I move to suspend the rules and offer a third and final reading of this ordinance.
Second.
A motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lescaher,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz.
Aye.
President Janko.
Aye. Motion carries.
I move to approve the ordinance to repeal and recreate Article 3 of Chapter 86 of the City of Fort Atkinson Code of General Ordinances relating to recycling.
Second.
Motion in multiple seconds. Any further debate? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 8B, second and possible third final reading of an ordinance to repeal Section 95-160 of the Fort Atkinson City of Fort Atkinson Code of relating to sunset and reporting requirements of the ATV UTV ordinance. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. So the council has seen this before at our last meeting. Repealing section 95.1 or 95-160 simply removes that reporting requirement and the sunset provision. Under the ordinance included in the packet, all other sections of the ATV ordinance along the use of ATV and UTV ordinances on, or ATVs and UTVs on city streets would remain in effect. The ordinance committee recommended that the council eliminate this section or repeal this section 95-160 at their meeting on the 3rd of February, and the city council performed the first reading on March 3rd. Staff does recommend that the council perform the second reading of the ordinance, suspend the rules, and perform a third reading, and then adopt the ordinance to repeal that section 95-160 of the City of Fort Atkinson Municipal Code. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Have we had any public input, negative or positive recently?
I have not received any.
I move to suspend the rules and offer a third and final reading of this ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is also a roll call vote.
Councilmember Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lescaher,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz,
Aye.
President Jacob.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
I move to approve the ordinance to repeal section 95-160 of the City of Fort Atkinson Municipal Code relating to sunset and reporting requirements of the ATV UTV ordinance.
Second.
Motion and a second again. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 9, reports of officers, boards, and committees. 9A is city manager's report. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. The Fire Department Honors Night took place on February 24th. Thank you to Chief Peterson for organizing such a special event to recognize the hard work of our fire department. Councilmember Lesko here provided the keynote address. Councilmember Schultz was there along with elected officials from some of our town partners, as well as Senator Ratcliffe and Representative Fitzgerald. I want to congratulate Part-Time Firefighter of the Year, Casey Bedura, Career Firefighter of the Year, Chris Barr, and Officers of the Year, Captains Mike Lawson and Jim Chase, who received awards on the Honors Night, as well as the promotions, retirements, and other folks we got a chance to recognize. At the end of last week, I attended the Wisconsin City County Management Association Winter Conference in Oshkosh. I attended sessions relating to customer service and customer experience, navigating the politics of professional management and ethics in professional management, and several inspirational keynote addresses. I also want to welcome Sadie Elwood to the city. She is a student at UW-Whitewater majoring in communications, public relations, and journalism. She'll be working about 10 hours per week during the school year with us and hopefully teaching us about how to reach the next generation of prospective residents and employees. The Parks and Recreation staff are putting the final touches on the summer 2026 program guide, which will be mailed to all addresses in the 53538 zip code in early April. I, for one, can't wait for the pool to open. And speaking of the pool, applications to work at the Aquatic Center for the 2026 season are now being accepted. The deadline to apply is March 26th, and interviews will be held in April. The mystery auction at the Senior Center took place on February 21st and attracted a record-breaking 40 participants, surpassing the previous record of 25. And maybe we'll get Parks and Rec Director Dayton here to explain to us what the mystery auction entailed. The Heart of the City group selected the Dwight Foster Public Library to receive the 2026 Big Heart Award. The library staff are honored to use their big hearts every day to serve our community. And the library also collaborated with the School District of Fort Atkinson to host the 2026 4K Art Gala on February 26th. The event drew 275 attendees to celebrate the storybook masterpieces created by 4-year-old kindergarten artists. I'm guessing math was the theme on that one. The art will remain on display in the children's area at the library through mid-March. And as Marilee indicated, the museum recently opened its 64th annual Mary Horde Art Show. Part 1 is open to students kindergarten through 5th grade who go to school in Fort Atkinson. This year, all 8 elementary schools, including 4 public and 4 private schools, participated in the show, which means that over 950 students have art hanging in the museum right now. The show opened on February 25th and closes this Saturday, March 7th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, unfinished business. Tonight we have none. Item 11, new business. 11A is review and possible action relating to the proposals for the City of Fort Atkinson Affordable Housing Funds programs and policies. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. On January 9th, the city staff issued a request for proposals for our Affordable Housing Fund programs and policies. We received 3 proposals from Redevelopment Resources, Public Administration Associates, and Innovative Public Advisors. We did review all of them, and they're summarized in a table in the memo in your packet, as well as the full proposals are in the packet. We also did checked all the references and found them all to be very positive. All the clients would work with these 3 firms again. Given the wide variety of costs associated with these 3 proposals and the general good positive nature of all the proposals, as well as the references, staff does recommend that the city council accept the proposal from Redevelopment Resources and authorize the city manager to execute the contract and start the program development process. I will just note that Redevelopment Resources was the lowest proposal at $10,500. It also included the fewest amount of hours at 60 hours. However, that is due to the advantages this firm has in having developed programs such as this in other communities already. And just to note, there was $25,000 budgeted and included in the 2026 adopted budget to facilitate the development of the affordable housing programs. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I do see that we have Kristen Fish-Peterson on the Zoom, who is the representative for Redevelopment Resources. If anyone has questions for her or questions for me, we'd gladly answer them.
No questions, just the comment that it is exciting to see this Affordable Housing Fund start to get its foothold, and excited to see where we go in the rest of this year.
Ready for motion?
Yep.
I move to approve the proposal from Redevelopment Resources for the Affordable Housing Fund programs at a cost not to exceed $10,500 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract and start the program development process.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 11B, review and possible action relating to the relocation of streetlights impacted by the 2026 South Main Street Road Project. Director Neven.
Thank you. As part of the 2026 South Main Street construction project, adjustments and installations related to the streetlights are required. We Energies issued the attached authorization letter detailing the scope of work and necessary financial commitments for the city to proceed. The proposal from We Energies outlines the following terms for the project, as well as the attached plan to accommodate the new pedestrian path. Upfront costs, the city is required to pay an initial charge of $7,815. The monthly rate reduction, there is expected to see a slight reduction in costs for those lights with some new updates and upgrades. And then the city responsibilities, the upfront charge does not include site restoration, which will be coordinated by staff as part of the larger project. By the time this starts, all of South Main will be under construction, so that'll just be all remediated at one time come the fall. The upfront cost of $7,815 will be funded through Fund 5, allocated for the South Main Street pedestrian path project. The subsequent decrease in monthly utility charges will provide a long-term benefit to the city's operating budget. So staff recommends that the city council approve the We Energies authorization and the associated payment of $7,815.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Any more hidden gems that might pop up through this
Yeah.
project?
Way too early to tell.
I move to approve the We Energies authorization and the associated payment of $7,815 for the relocation of streetlights impacted by the 2026 South Main Street Road project.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 12, miscellaneous. Tonight we have none. Item 13, the public comment for matters not on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon: name, address, and subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comments. Those of you following on Zoom, please raise your virtual hand if you wish to speak, as the chat box is not monitored, and those on the call must remain muted unless recognized. Again, tonight, we don't have anybody in person that signed up, so this will be a first call for anyone on Zoom. Second call for anyone on Zoom wishing to provide public comment. Third and final call. I will close out public comment. Move on to 14, claims, appropriations, and contract payments. 14A, review and possible action relating to the verified claims is presented by the Director of Finance and authorized payment.
I move to approve the verified claims as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lescahair,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz.
Aye.
President Jacob.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Item 15, a closed session. 15A, the city council may consider motion to convene into closed session pursuant to state statute 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility, thus being the annual performance review of the city manager.
I move to convene in closed session pursuant to state statute section 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. In this case, the annual performance review of the city manager.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote again.
Councilmember Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lescahair,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz.
Aye.
President Jacob.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We will be in closed session. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.